Venerable Haroun, the blind Saluki priest of the dog-headed god Yipwet, has come to the wild and colorless Tel Bastet, the city of cats, for an education in mischief, and Haroun has never met a crime of fashion he wouldn't commit. Shaimadur, the disabled human priest of Upaja, thought accepting Haroun's leash meant being Haroun's seeing eye human. He wasn't prepared for the political machinations, or for Haroun's blossoming sense of humor. When a kind prophet prince goes missing, Haroun smells iniquity in the air. Iniquity, it turns out, smells a lot like kumis spilled on a tomcat in dire need of a bath. The problem with everyone in Tel Bastet knowing what a good boy their Shai Madur is that people keep trying to rescue him, whether he needs it or not. Not that he's complaining, exactly, but Madur swears he is never going carousing again, no matter how soulful Haroun's puppy dog eyes are. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. For today's video, as you might have been able to figure out from the title, I will once again be tackling an ARC, or Advanced Reader Copy, for the purposes of a review. And the ARC that I will be talking about this time, as can once again be gleaned from the title, is... Yeah, I'm going to pick you up again, so excuse me for a moment. Haroun and the Study of Mischief, subtitled A Magical Middle Eastern Cozy Fantasy, written by Lynn Strong. And may I just say, that's a very nice looking cover. Yeah, even though it is temporary, it is still effective at conveying what the book is actually about. So, yeah, kudos to Lynn's cover artist, whoever that may be. Okay, now let me just set you back again, and yeah. Okay, we're back in business. A self-described information designer, dreamer, and role player, Lynn Strong's bibliography also includes contributions to story compilations, as well as her own novella collection, featuring characters from that'll also show up within this book. However, this is the first time that she writes any kind of long-form fiction. So, does that expertise transfer within this book? Well, this book is a little bit harder for me to really judge, because cozy fantasy isn't really the thing I typically read. However, my impressions, in summary, are this book is less than the sum of its parts. Like, I could point to elements and concepts within it that I think are very interesting and that are worth a reader's attention. However, those parts are very much buried between a variety of other elements that are not particularly molded as effectively as they could have been, and don't deliver a story that I would find interesting or really cozy in that in that particular sense. Nevertheless, there is still a very distinct artistic merit to this book, and I very much say that it is even if solely on that basis, very much worth a reader's time. So, if you are interested in cozy fantasy and would and find the synopsis that I just read out to be of interest to you, well, then I suggest you. Well, I can't really say that there is anything that speaks against against getting this book. I do, however, have to issue a content warning, and yeah, I know, unusual, a cozy book with a content warning. However, this is not a content warning from the author. It is a content warning from me, namely for racial profiling, because yeah, I noticed it in this book, and I'm not sure if the author notices it or cares about it, but I just thought I'd bring it up, because that is something that becomes part of the book itself, and it is something that I think people should know before they get into it. And now that I'm done with the broad impressions, it's time I delved into some specifics. The plot of this book follows two principal characters. The first of whom is Shaimadur, a human who is also a clergy member for a faith based on charity. The second of these is titular character Haroun, who is a blind anthropomorphic dog, uh, who is similarly a clergy member but from a different faith. And because these two end up involved within within a major clerical event of their society, they also end up entangled entangled with each other. More precisely, with Madur being tasked with taking care of or escorting Harun. Over the course of the event, however, one of its key figures goes missing, and that disappearance prompts Harun, Madur, and various other attendants at the event to enter the seedy underbelly of said event's host city in order to find a clue as to where the aforementioned figure might have ended up. Now, as I've already mentioned a few times by now, this is a cozy fantasy, so I am not particularly expecting any kind of high-octane thrill rides and chases, so to speak. But even even when you scale down your expectations to to that particular framing, this book still comes across as very plotting, very slow. Things happen, don't get me wrong, but it is very much not a plot-driven book. Like the plot is really just there to bring the characters from one point to another, and each of these points really serves as another area, another opportunity, another vector through which the author can transfer or describe coziness to her readership. and I have to say that we can talk about how the plot is sacrificed for coziness, but the real problem is that this book isn't really particularly effective at sharing coziness. Like, yeah, it tells that the characters that are involved within the book are cozy or comfortable or are at least having fun, except for occasions where any kind of discomfort can be mined for humor. But honestly, it is more concerned with portraying, conveying that feeling rather than that impression or that sensation. So while you get the feeling that the characters are enjoying themselves, you as a reader do not get what it is that you need in order to share into that enjoyment with these characters. The author doesn't really spend enough on describing what parts of the surrounding or what combination of parts from the surrounding really makes the events of the book itself come across as cozy. Rather, it is concerned with emphatically and repeatedly conveying and telling its audience that the situations described within the book are comfortable and that are cozy, and that is what the reader should also feel. But I do not get that. So unfortunately, I find that this cozy book kind of fails at being cozy. And once you take that away, what meager plot is there simply isn't enough to really effectively drive this book. I only learned about her previous writing endeavors, namely contributing to story compilations and her own having her own novellas. After I finished reading the book, and suddenly some significant parts of the book made a lot more sense, because when you look at the amount of information that is actually presented, you realize that this book could very effectively have been converted into a novella, and nothing of substance would really have been lost. The major points would still be there, and would probably still be as impactful as they could have been, or potentially even more so. The characterization of this book, however, is a little bit better. Though this part of the book also has its also, I would say, has the biggest issues in the grand scheme of things. By that I mean that if a character is given a name, it is quite likely that that character will become an intriguing and memorable figure in their own right, as the readers get to follow them, on their journey, and get to learn, follow them on their journey, and get to learn, what specific attributes of theirs, really define them. Unfortunately, when it comes to the rest of the cast, like most secondary and some tertiary characters, she instead has to resort to stereotyping, if I were to be polite, and racial profiling, if I were to not be polite, in order to get an impression of what the world's denizens are to the reader. Now, I understand that she wants to establish aspects of the world quickly in order to get to the or to get to the cozy parts of this book, even though I've already made my points about the cozy parts of the book. But if your idea of cozy revolves around people being racially profiled, then I don't know. I don't think your comfort is really is really worth it, to be honest. There is, however, one aspect of the book that I can unambiguously claim is good, and that is world building. Because when it comes to world building, the author borrows a lot of aesthetic, culinary, and other cultural markers from civilizations spanning from the Near East to the Far East. And she is able to integrate those elements within the umbrella of not just a singular society, but specifically the type of singular society that would result from the from the populations and from the environment that are described within this book. It is perhaps not particularly in depth, but it is nevertheless a very surprising amount of of cultural immersion, cultural variety, and cultural depth that is presented throughout this book, and I'm very sad to say that that other aspects of this book very much drop the ball when it comes to presenting the world and the various aspects of it that make it distinctive. As really, I think that's where I think it had the biggest potential in order to effectively create this cozy environment that I think the author intended for this book to have. Overall, while I recognize that there are some some very interesting, very eye-catching aspects to how this book is put together, the way in which the various elements of the book are actually presented don't allow for these elements to really stand out as effectively as they could have, ultimately rendering the book less memorable than it could have been. My final rating for Haroun and the Study of Mischief is a 3 out of 5, and it's on the lower end of that rating too. Anyway, that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you've enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the book itself or to my impressions of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My own books, the first of my Heir to the Empire series, The Next Generation and The Path Not Taken are available for purchase at their their respective master links in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I would suggest you check out should you choose to. I also have a third book on the way, so now might be as good a time as any to check out the previously mentioned social media links, because who knows, I might just have updates. Aside from that, I also have a second channel where you can hear me talking about whatever crosses my mind, really. Though mostly it's about narrative analyses, but of works outside of the print medium. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and check it out. If, however, you want to hear more about my thoughts on the print medium and selected works therein, well, then I suggest you stay on this channel and go for my extensive backlog of book reviews, writing advice, and miscellaneous connected topics. If none of those interest you, then I suggest you go ahead and do whatever you want the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. And yeah, that was it from me. So until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.